There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to another episode of Positive Talk. We've got a really good episode today, and I got to tell you, I'm very excited about our guest and the work that he's doing, and the book that he's written, and the life experience that he's had. Speaking of life experience, Rochelle, how are you today?
Hey, I'm pretty good. It's got me thinking about my own experiences. Doesn't it have that happen to you?
All the time, all the time. Would you like to introduce our guest today?
I would love to. He's brought a friend even. So we have Ed McCarthy, who has a website. Follow along with us, everybody, thelifeletters.com, which happens to be the name of his book we're going to talk lots about. And Ken joins us in with him as well. So hello to both of you, and thank you so much for being here to have this conversation again.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
It's great to have both of you here, and let's start at the very beginning. Well, not at the very beginning. I know you were born and you went through childhood and all that kind of stuff, but Ed, you've written the book Life Letters, and that has got a significant story behind it, doesn't it?
It does indeed. It does indeed. Yeah, to level set for those that may not have heard of Life Letters, it's been a tremendous success in such a short period of time. We only launched it less than 100 days ago. It's available on Amazon right now. And here's a quick look at the book. But in short, Life Letters provides both personal and professional success principles for every age and stage of your life. And the ultimate goal is to help you reach your highest self through optimal lifestyle design. And as this implies right here, it's based on 5 decisions to wealth, wisdom, and happiness. And it's broken down into 26 different chapters, A through Z. So A through Z are 26 different chapters, 26 different letters. We have 7 on wealth letters. We have 11 on wisdom. We have 8 letters or chapters on happiness. And that's the whole goal here, is to, through wealth, wisdom, and happiness success principles, to help everyone reach their highest self by designing their optimal lifestyle. So that's the value proposition, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Be still, my foolish heart. Do you mean, Rochelle, that we can design our own life?
You know, I think so. There was this dude named Kevin McDonald, this crazy man.
I know.
He told me that one time, and I believed him, so I'm trying it out.
I believe wholeheartedly that you can create the life that you desire. But Ed, you've got to know what it is that you desire and what you truly want to be and have, and to who you are. How did you figure that out for yourself?
Did we freeze?
I wonder if he froze. Yeah. Seems like he froze there for a second. I'm sure we'll get him back in a second. But
So Ken, go ahead. While we're waiting for him to unfreeze, it must be cold where he is.
It is. We're in Denver. It's cold today.
Oh, yeah. He's back.
He's back.
I don't know what happened. I'm just standing here and it died out on me twice now. So I apologize, but I'm just standing here and it went dark on me. So I'm here.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of give you my background real quick. So I'm a real estate investor, as is Ed, among other things. And I met him years and years ago, and he kept talking about this book that he wrote for his kids, or a letter and then a book. And I said, hey man, let me read this thing. I read 12 to 24 books a year, or listen to them or whatever. I'm a pretty voracious reader, mostly in the self-help and those types of subjects. And I tell you what, he wanted me to read it, but I was like, well, you got to print it out first, because it was literally just not a book. So we did this spiral bound thing, and I went through it and made notes, and I just read through it, and I was like, wow, there's really great success principles in here. It's it's success principles that we know and we've all read in different books, but man, it just brings it all together with his personal stories, and it's entertaining and just really gets the point across. And it's A through Z, so you can skip around and pick the one you want. So I really thought there was something to it, and we've been working together for a couple of years to get it to this stage to where it's a real book with a cover and a website and all that stuff. And it's been a journey, and we're kind of at the beginning of it, I think. And we think it's going to be a really big thing to help a lot of people. And the goal is to positively transform 1 million lives.
Oh, could you come up with, I don't know, maybe a bigger goal? I mean, 1 million, that just seems like a drop in the bucket, No,
well, hopefully we get through that pretty quick, and then we can make it 10 million or 100 million or a billion. I don't know.
It only starts with one.
We have big plans, real big plans.
Good.
Well, congratulations.
We're off to a great start with it, because we already have dozens of people that have reached out to us in one form or another saying, wow, this book has transformed my life. We have, parents that are using it as a tool to talk to their, teenage or young adult children. We're having younger people come back to us and say, wow, this is the father figure advice that I never got. And older people that are trying to use this book to talk with their children or even their grandchildren. So the feedback we're getting has been tremendous. It's really been a movement, and it's just inspiring. It's very inspiring. So very encouraging.
Rochelle?
Yeah, well, congratulations. Like, oh my gosh, it all started with something that was really just an idea and something of what you wanted to be able to share. And now you get to share it with the world. I couldn't imagine how that feels, but then again, I can, because Kevin is having me do the same thing. But Ed, was there, what was the motive that guided you into even wanting to write this in the first place?
Yeah,
I think it had something to do with a snowmobile and snow and something along those lines. Would they be close?
Yeah, very close. Yeah, no, very spot on. Yeah, so the inspiration behind the book.
And Ken, would you like to continue?
Yeah, it has something to do with freezing. I do have to say, I love the name of your radio show. It's Positive Talk Radio. And I'll just show you the book is designed from A to Z, letters. Each chapter is a letter. And letter O, by the way, is optimism. So I love the fact that you're Positive Talk Radio, and there's a chapter about optimism in there. It kind of goes hand in hand. So
perfect.
Why don't you go into how this came about, Ed?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So I apologize for the communication. I have no idea why, but I keep dropping in and out, but I'm just sitting here and I don't understand why. So I do apologize to everyone for the communication area.
And I'm sure somewhere in your book is about there are things in life that you cannot control. So you just do the best you can to make it as workable as possible. And we give each other grace for that. So go for it.
Indeed. Yeah. Thank you for your grace. So a friend, how this came to be, I was never intended to write a book. I was never intended to be an author, but it was it led me this path. So a friend borrowed 4 snowmobiles from his boss, some high performance snowmobiles, and he asked me and 2 other friends to go. So the 4 of us headed off. I live in Denver, Colorado. We 90 minutes up to Winter Park Ski Resort. So we went behind Winter Park Ski Resort up Jones Pass, and it was an epic powder day. We had 3 feet of snow over the last few days, where the 4 of us are on our sleds. We're flying down these trails. We're about 10 miles into backcountry. Can't see anyone. No one's around whatsoever. The snow is just flying over our sleds and our heads, and it was just this epic powder day. And we made a fateful decision about 10 miles in that we were like, we should probably turn around soon. But before we do, let's go off trail. And you see where it's going. Let's go off trail and just go fly around this huge open meadow and have some fun. And then we'll turn around, we'll get back on trail, and we'll head back to the vehicle and head home. That seemed like a good enough idea. So off we went, 4 sleds in a row. First guy goes, second about 10 seconds apart. One guy goes, second one. I was the 3rd sled. 4th sled goes, and off we are just racing across this huge open meadow. We're about 1,000 feet off the trail. And the first sled just all of a sudden, I'm just flying around. The first sled just disappears. By the time it registered, the second sled disappeared. And then by the time I registered that, I disappeared. And of course, the fourth one, we fell into a crevasse of snow, 10 feet deep, the tail lights of the sleds facing straight up. And we're stuck in backcountry. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's already getting, it was already quite cold. It was less than sub-zero at the time. It was a very cold day. And here we are stuck in backcountry, not anyone in sight for 100 miles or more. We have no idea how to get out of this. So we all individually worked on getting our sleds out. After an hour of futile effort, we decided to pool our efforts and try to get one sled out. And we 500-pound sled digging this out of a 10-foot hole. Not so easy. The more we dug with our hands and our helmets, the more the sled fell in. So this continued on for 12 more hours. Next thing you know, it's 4 a.m. We're late stage hypothermic. We have no food, no water, no shelter, no way to light a fire. We were dying. We were dying. And then a miracle happened. A miracle happened, and it just happened to be, which I still can't explain to this day, that a father and son team were hunting backcountry for a week, and they happened to come down this pass that there's no reason why they would have come down. But at 4 o'clock in the morning, we were late stage, close to dying. They happened to come down. We were able to flag them down and explain this to me. But that son ended up being a competitive snowmobile racer. So right, the father never left the trail. He said, I never met the father, never spoke to him. He just never left. He just sat on his sled, probably there just to make sure he can pull his son out of this abyss. And ultimately, the son came in. I sat with him. I talked to him. He taught us what to do. He basically got on the sled himself. Did exactly the opposite of what we were doing. We found the lightest, most experienced guy out of the four of us, and he was gingerly trying to hit the gas while we were pushing and trying to get the sled out of there. This young buck came in, put his feet on the back handle where our passenger would hold. Started zigzagging across in a 50-foot pattern all the way back to the trail. So he did the polar opposite of what we were doing previously. He did that 4 times, saved our lives. And the sad thing about this, and I call it out in the book, is we never got their contact information, never got their names. We agreed to meet at the trailhead because we were beyond grateful for saving our lives. We were supposed to exchange numbers so we can take them out for dinner and drinks. And they, by the time we got back to the trailhead, they were gone. So to this day, this mystery father and son, we never be able to pay them back for saving us. And part of the mission of this book is hopefully this book reaches out to them and they reach out to us so I can give them their just reward. So that's how it happened. And then ultimately, when I came home, I'm sitting there late stage hypothermic. My core body temperature is starting to rise a little bit. I'm sitting in the driver's side back seat behind the driver, blankly staring out the window in the dark because it's now about 4:35, 5 a.m. It's still dark. And we start driving. And I just said the entire time when I went through this near-death experience, I was never concerned about self-absorbed things about dying young or anything self-centered. The entire time I was focused purely on my wife and my 2 young kids. We had a 1-year-old son and a newborn daughter at the time. And I could not stop thinking about them, of what happened if I died on that mountain. So I came home, and the very day that I got home, I started to write a letter, and literally typing one letter and just flooding them, just bleeding over the pages of what I wanted to share with them while I had the gift of life further. Well, that one page turned to 50, turned to 500 pages. And now we've broken that down into 3 separate books. It's called Life Letters, 5 Decisions to Wealth, Wisdom, and Happiness. And it's been a tremendous journey. That's the story.
I'm willing to bet, by the way, Burchell, that when he says that he had no idea that he was going to be an author, well, guess what? And he had no idea that this was going to be that when he went off into the wilderness with his friends, that was going to be a life-changing experience. Well, you know what? Guess what again? And by the way, I don't know that you're ever going to meet those two people, because they may have been angelic figures who came because of the work that you're doing since that time. I don't know. That's just me. Burchell, what do you think?
I happen to agree, because there's a lot of times, there doesn't have to be an explanation. And yeah, I mean, whoever and whatever that was, it saved your life. But the way that you have made momentum out of that is probably why that happened. Like we talk about, horrible things happen to all of us. What do we do about it? And Ed, I'm amazed. It's inspiring. Like, what's going to happen to me in my life that is going to give me the opportunity to maybe someday write a book and help people? And I'm rooting for you. I hope that you do find them, though, because, oh my gosh, I'd squeeze them so hard their hearts would probably stop. But I'm keeping that out there for you. I think it's possible.
Well, yes, Burchell, we hope you don't have to freeze to death to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic. So, well, what's come from that, honestly, outside of the obvious of the book, which we can, dig into the book, is effectively what this book is. Let's call it what it is my best effort to transfer my wisdom, my experience, my life, my life experiences to my children. It started with that simply, the near death that came in, and how do I share what I went through? I grew up in very humble beginnings, in Boston. A first generation American kid. Mom was a housekeeper, maid for the wealthy in the Boston area, mostly Harvard and MIT professors. Dad was a truck driver and transitioned after a crippling back injury into maintenance supervisor for the local Episcopalian churches, which is ironic because we're Catholic, but ultimately very humble beginnings, wonderful, hardworking immigrant family. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot through that. And I was able to transition in when I was 26 years old to follow my career path to Colorado, which brought me out here. So I have this very humble upbringing story, which I write about in great detail. That's basically story 2 in the book. Story 1's the snowmobile. Story 2's my upbringing. But ultimately, what I'm doing here is trying to transfer my wisdom, if you will, my knowledge, my experience through the written word, through this book, right? This is book 1, as it says right here, is book 1 of the series. But book 2 and book 3 will be launched. Book 2 will come out in September, book 3 in October, and book 3 in October of 27. And that's the 5, that when I came home and wrote the book, that one page turned to 50, turned to 500. Now it's the 3 books that are in the works. But ultimately what I did is transfer my wisdom, but I'm taking it to the next level, because I'm just one guy with one life and one level of experience. But what we created, which I really encourage your listeners to participate in, is what we call the Wisdom Transfer Platform. And if you go to our website, thelifeletters.com, under the community tab, there's the Life Letters. And this is an opportunity to allow everyone to transfer their wisdom. Everyone has experience, regardless of your background. Everyone has wisdom to share, life experiences. And it may not be overly, a specific poignant point about your background, but maybe it's a thought-provoking quote. Maybe it is some other information you want to share, a Bible verse or some other information from thought leaders of the past. But we're giving a platform because I consider this, if I died on that mountain, my children would never hear my experience. They would never hear my personal stories. That's why I start off every letter in all 3 books with a personal story as it relates to that particular topic, right? It's transferring of the wisdom. So I'm encouraging everyone to transfer their wisdom, because to me, the lack of wisdom transfer is humanity's greatest wasted natural resource, right? When people die, where does their wisdom go? Unless they wrote it down, unless they use modern technology in a podcast like this, how do they share their stories? Well, it's never existed before, and we created it, the Wisdom Transfer Platform. So I encourage everyone to get on board this movement and transfer your wisdom, because they think about the generations. We are very good as humans of transferring, wealth, right? You transfer your wealth through, people make, a certain amount of money. They have a trust fund, and they pass that on to their next generation. We all know that.
Or they don't.
We pass on trinkets. We pass on trinkets. We pass on photographs. We pass on recipes. But no one takes the time to transfer their wisdom, and we're hoping to remedy that problem.
It's awesome.
I think that's great. We need to take a quick break, and I got to play something because it's relevant to the discussion that we're having. Rochelle, do you know what I'm going to play?
Yes, I do.
And we'll be right back in like 35 seconds. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A sailor in a storm once battled waves so fierce they nearly sank his ship. He discovered storms, they don't last forever, but strong sailors do. Life will shake you, test you, and even try to break you. But if you hold steady and keep moving forward, the skies will clear, and when they do, you will see how powerful you have become. You are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Michelle's right there. And sometimes it's not a storm in the water; it's a storm in the snow, and that's what Ed got to experience. But you see, Ed, I believe that whole experience was by divine design, because you've got incredible wisdom that you've developed over your life. You were thinking of nothing about your kids, which reminds me of City Slickers. So there's only one thing that we need to worry about, and you get to choose what that is. We talked about that yesterday, Michelle, and here I go to saying the same thing again today. So have you noticed, Michelle, that these shows tend to have a theme, and this is one of those?
Yeah. The way that the conversations bleed into each other, the way that our experiences actually bring us together rather than separate us. Because Ed, the way you're giving space for people to come and tell their story and their wisdom and their things, they're going to meet other people. They're going to read other comments. They're going to see things that are like, wait, I'm not alone, or this person that, or they have something that could actually help me. And there's so much out there in the world that is available for our help and for our knowledge so we can learn. But maybe we just don't care. I don't know what it is. Maybe we're lazy, but I know that there's so many that are really chasing it. And this is the way to start that.
Oh, Ed, I got to ask you, and Ken, I want to include you in this as well, because when you started writing the letters and you came and it became 500 pages, did you think that it was, quote unquote, because you have said you never were a writer, did you think it was, quote unquote, good enough to publish until you gave it to Ken? And Ken, did you provide that validation for him?
I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like when I read it and I said, wow, you really have something here. And I gave him my edits and all that stuff. And, it wasn't quite prime time ready yet, but I've read a lot, and I always find mistakes in books for some reason or another. I don't know why. So I'm a pretty good editor. And I just saw all these success principles in there. And I like to think that I said, hey, Ed, this is amazing. You got something here. You can really make something huge of this. And I feel like I inspired him to kind of continue on that path, or maybe ramp up the acceleration on it or something. I don't know. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah, absolutely. I apologize. Again, a little glitch. I don't know why, but just keeps dropping me. But I did hear the question, and then I got dropped for about 15 seconds. But did I think it was good enough? I don't think any author thinks their writing is good enough when they go to market, but at some point, you just have to, just go for it. And so with the trusted friends like Ken and several others that were read through it and it had an impact on them, I did a lot of beta reading, got a lot of beta readers, a lot of test reading, and ultimately put it together into something I'm very proud of. Yeah, we just went for it. We just went for it, and it's worked very well.
Well, and this is instructive for our audience, because if you're passionate about something, even if you don't think that you're necessarily qualified for it, do it anyway, because it's important for you to do that. Because Ed, when you were writing this, and you may have had moments in time when you said, I'm not qualified to be wise enough to do this or to do that. But it was part of your DNA, and it was part of what you were supposed to do all the way along. And so it has become, and it's going to become, as I like to say, Burchell, it's going to be a bit of a thing.
Yeah. Well, another way of looking at it, kind of the same question, but look at it a different way, is I think any rational person would look at any venture they put themselves on is like, how do you measure success? How do you define this as a successful venture? Mine was really simple. If only 2 people read it, my 2 children, then it was a success, right? So I literally bled all over these pages. I did not put any consideration whatsoever on what the critics will think, or who's going to like it, who's not going to like it. I truly wrote this to the best of my ability for my future adult children. They're older now, but they're still young in their early teens. And but I wrote it for them. I wrote it for them, and I literally just put my heart and soul. Like I said, I bled all over these pages with the most honest feedback, with no consideration whatsoever for what the outside party would think about it. And I stuck with it. And that's all book 1, 2, and 3 is just written from the father's love to his children. And I hope that comes across to the general audience.
And I would add something to
ahead,
Kevin, and say, hey, if you see somebody trying to do something in their lives, support them and be encouraging, be a good friend, push them forward.
Yeah.
Exactly, because we all have, I don't know if you know this, but we all have doubts. We doubt our abilities. We doubt that we're good enough. And so many people through our lives have told us, yeah, well, you ain't good enough. But if you believe in yourself and you believe in what you are doing, and in your case, Ed, the purpose was pure. You were just giving a love letter to your children to give them benefits of the wisdom that you created, which, as it turns out, Burchell, is benefits that can serve many, many people. As you and I have discussed many times, and I'd love for you to speak on this, that even when you don't think that you know enough, your life experience can be instructive to others, and in a really positive way. You agree with that?
Yeah, I think I've figured out that you don't have to have it all figured out to do something. You don't have to wait for the right time. You create the moment. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you permission. You get that choice yourself. It all starts within you, and really what you're willing to do and what that means. I mean, Ed, I sit here and I think, what was it like for you when you had that book physically and you sat down and read that with your kids? And he'll be back in a second, but I mean,
well, it goes back to what you were saying, is the longest journey begins with the very first step, right? It's an old Confucius thing or Chinese proverb or something like that.
Yeah.
Which, I think is true. Like when you try to go do something big, and it's big and scary, and you just take that first step.
Yeah. Well, and I love that there wasn't this expectation of what are people going to think? What are they going to do? It is so authentic, and that's why people actually love it. It's not written to put some fluff and make everybody feel special. It's written in a way of, here's my experience. This is my life. Here's what you can take from it. And Ed, right before we had you go out again, I was just asking, like, what was it like when you had that book and you sat down with your children and read it for the first time?
Yeah, it was a surreal experience. I mean, truly, to physically hold the first copy of the book and share with my children, it was amazing. I mean, it really came down to legacy. I mean, it was a monster check mark on my life, on what I consider a life well lived, or doing the best I can to have a life well lived. And one of those big components is that I documented all of these experiences and all of these stories and all of this kind of rags to riches story I've been very fortunate financially, and I've been very successful in many different business ventures. So to be able to share that path with my children in the written word, and not only to my children, even though they're just teens, they my grandchildren. That's a legacy. It's a legacy play that I think will be valued in my family long after I'm gone. So that's really what I was focused on, not the critics, not the outside parties, but it's resonated. And I think it's resonated with the general audiences out there because it's a father's heart in the written word and into the love of his children. So I think that's why it's been such a strong movement so quickly.
Yeah, of course.
And it just struck me, Ed, and I'd love your opinion on this, but because you did not write this to be the author, to create this thing, become the #1 New York Times bestseller and all of that, you wrote it for your children, right, so that they could understand the man that you are, assuming that because you did not die in that snow, and you survived in that snow, and so you wanted to write something heartfelt for your kids. I think it comes across greatly in the book, and people can use that and translate it into their own families and their own lives. Was that kind of your intent, or was it always about your kids and this is just a happy, and I hate to use the term accident because there are no such things, but a happy circumstance?
It's a happy circumstance. I mean, at some point, but very late stage, that I decide to, that, wow, this might have market potential. And the general message I got from the beta readers was, you can't just leave this as a family secret. This is too good. It's too important. I get emotional about it, but it's too important to not share. So all I really did was, instead of making it like you two, like meaning my two children, speaking to them directly and using their names, I just made it more generic, but it is all written from the heart. And it's no longer a family secret. It's for everyone to share and to learn from and grow from.
And Rochelle, we need to take our halftime break, but could you give us the website and everything so that they can get a hold of the book and they need to buy it because it's good?
Yes. We all have something in our lives that taught us something from something that we've been through that is worth telling your story, and Ed figured that out. So go to thelifeletters.com. He's got about him, the books. You can go and get the first one out now, Life Letters, The Solution, Community Education, and even you can check out the testimonials yourself. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to dig a little deeper because we're going to talk about the wealth part of the book a little bit too, because Ed's got some things to teach us.
And I just want to be clear about this. If you have a great friend and they said, I've been writing something and I want you to have a look at it, don't say no, because if Ken said no, it may never have happened. So by working together, they made it happen, and now it's out there in the world. And we're going to talk about the financial stuff and wealth and stuff when we come back. We'll be back in a minute and 10 or so. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio Network. We're on a mission to entertain, enlighten, empower, and educate through inspiring music, dynamic conversations, and yes, laughter. Join me, Kevin McDonald, and Rochelle as we declare our freedom from hate, division, and fear and celebrate a better way of living. Go to positivetalkradio.net to find out more. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. The world doesn't need more noise. Everyone knows we have enough of that. What we need is more listening, because listening creates understanding. Listening builds bridges, and listening reminds people that they matter. Real progress happens when we slow down long enough to hear one another, not to fix, not to judge, just to understand someone else's point of view. When conversations are rooted in respect and humanity, they have the power to heal, inspire, and move people forward. That's our mission. That's why we're here. I hope you'll join us. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Brichelle is right there, and Ed McCarthy and Ken are here. And Brichelle, I would love for you to lead us into the next segment.
Well, everybody, again, thelifeletters.com is where to go to find his story all about him in the book. Ed, please do. So we talk about these 3 pillars of the book, wealth, wisdom, and happiness. When it comes to wealth, what are some of the things you found that people were like, hey, that's amazing? And where'd you come up with the ideas of the structure?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and almost like and maybe it's a divine intervention thing as well, is not only the fact that I survived when I got back and started writing this letter, one letter that turned to 50, turned to 500 pages, but I never intended to do it alphabetical either. That was never a plan. That just kind of happened, right? As I was starting to write one topic, I'm like, after a while, I was getting a little long-winded and a little long, and so I started, well, what am I really trying to say here? So I would label them the key word that I was trying to get across. And after a while writing this, I started to realize there's an alphabetical theme here. I had 3 B's, I had 3 A's, 3 B's, 4 C's, so on and so forth. So that's the beauty of it, where the life letters is a play on words, where it's literally a letter written from the father to his children on each of the subjects, but it's also playing the words with the alphabetical letters A through Z. So that's the kind of the fun part of it. So talking about, you asked a question about wealth. Well, there's 7 letters, 7 of the 26 A through Z letters are on wealth. Okay. There's, for example, C equals career, M is money, N is no, W is wealth, right? So we talk about it, but to put them all together, at least those 7 specifically on wealth, I talk in great detail. So to put it in perspective, I spent 28 years of my career, started off as an engineer, electrical engineer, very technical person. I transitioned into sales at one point as a systems engineer, and then transitioned into a VP of sales, and ultimately as a CEO of several software companies. So I have the gamut of 28 years of technology experience. But in that, at the same time, I also built a real estate empire. And while I was building my career, I was also building a real estate business. And that 28 years, and it was a combination of entrepreneurial ventures in technology, but also in some of the largest corporations in the world. So I got some experience with this. So I talk about, like, for example, in career, that there's a tsunami coming. There is a significant tsunami coming, and that tsunami is called AI. And it's going to change lives. It's going to disrupt society as we know it. You've seen the articles in it. There's extreme pessimistic, Terminator perspectives, which isn't true. And then there's really kind of a lot of people got their head in their sand on that, that maybe it won't impact me. But this tsunami that's coming will disrupt lives, will disrupt careers. It will eliminate complete industries with certainty. I'm certain it'll happen, right? But so jobs will be, some jobs, a lot of jobs will be eliminated, but that's the loss of money. And most people don't realize or don't put much attention into it. It's when you lose a job or lose your career, it's not just money. That hurts, to pay the bills. But most people get tremendous meaning out of their career. So I spent a lot of time on the psychology associated with not only the money of job loss, but the loss of meaning in your life. And I think it's very important. So I challenge the reader to pivot their mindset into either an entrepreneurial mindset, or a word I created is entrepreneurial. And an entrepreneurial is an internal entrepreneur. So everyone knows what an entrepreneur is. You start your own business, you're on your own, you make it or break it on your own. We know what entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur, or an internal entrepreneur, is taking that entrepreneurial spirit, right, and embracing technologies like AI, like robotics and nanotechnology and so on and so forth, and implement that into providing value to your organization. Either as an entrepreneur, you're providing value to your customers.
And Ken, would you like to continue that thought?
To your
Yeah. So
There we go.
organization.
Oh, he came back. Okay, good.
Sorry about that. So that's an important component of this. And ultimately, what I try to train people is to stop trading time for money, because money does not scale, right? There's only so many hours in the day, right? To live a healthy lifestyle, you can only work 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week to have reasonable balance in your life. And I don't care if you're getting paid $20 an hour or 200 or 400 or more. There's still not enough hours in the day to trade time for money. What I try to teach my children and ultimately the readers, I try to teach them to trade value for money, right? Bring value to the table, either as an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, an internal entrepreneur, right? Bring value to the market, right? And I teach you the art of introducing you to your new best friend, which is Sam. So who's Sam, my new best friend? That's sales and marketing, right? That's been able to embrace sales and marketing and ultimately provide value to your customers. So there's a radical change underway. It's coming. The tsunami is coming. Can't stop it. What you can do is adjust to it and make adjustments in your career that ultimately will pay monster dividends. But the beauty of it is, that sounds a little negative. I don't mean to go down that, but it's my honest opinion. But the beauty of this is that there's an unprecedented opportunity in front of all of us to become entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, internal entrepreneurs. There's never been lower barriers to entry to start your own business. To take an idea, could be a book, could be some form of business that you want to have, and bring that to market. The technology that exists today to help you with the back office of creating a viable product to bring to market is unprecedented today. So as much as AI will, they say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Well, AI too will giveth opportunities for new entrepreneurship, but it will also take away legacy career paths. So introducing AI or embracing AI and embracing robotics, I highly encourage any of my readers to do it. I give you a roadmap how to do it. And there's such a golden opportunity out there, but you have to pivot, you have to adjust. And then I get into more details within the wealth letters of again, not trading time for money, but using value. So what I try to teach is just basically stop trading time for money. I'll just leave it at that. Did I cut out again?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
It keeps cutting out on me. Sorry, it's very distracting. But so that we'll just stop it there. But that's the example of some of the wealth letters, and we can go in more granular detail. But then the wisdom is just transferring more seasoned advice from someone who's kind of a bit of a rags to riches story, and what wisdom I have developed over time. And I share that in 11 of the letters. And then ultimately, what the end goal of we're all here for is happiness, right? So I focus a tremendous amount of energy on happiness and give you methodologies and processes to be able to get there. And it all comes together, all the wealth, wisdom, and happiness, the 26 A through Z letters come together and through what I call the lifestyle action plan. Because ultimately, as I alluded to at the beginning, the name of the book, or the picture of the book is ultimately to lead you through these letters, through this path to get to your highest self. And your highest self is found through optimal lifestyle design. And that optimal lifestyle design is defined through the last section of the book, the conclusion of the book, which is the lifestyle action plan. And it is a 5-step methodology on how to address wealth, wisdom, and happiness. And it addresses the who, what, where, when, how, and why you want to do this. It's 5 steps. You follow the methodology. Whatever you pick a letter of the 26, you might want to focus on, how do I make money? How do I build wealth, right? How do I focus on enhancing my wisdom, or I want to be happy. I'm not feeling so good about the economy today or life in general. So I give you that methodology to be able to walk you through how to accomplish all 3 of wealth, wisdom, and happiness.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that the lifestyle action plan And all these things are free for download on the website, thelifeletters.com. You know, you can buy the book, you know, it's cheap on ebook, and you can get the hardcover or the audio book with Ed actually reading it. But the website has all these free downloads of all this stuff. You can also sign up for the free newsletter every 2 weeks, but it's all that the resources are all free. Obviously, the book is on Amazon, so that's not free, but it's all on there for you to take advantage of. And you can print out that lifestyle action plan and give it a shot.
And your motive behind sending it and giving it for free is to help impact people in a positive way. Would I be correct in that?
Yeah, we want to positively transform 1 million lives to start.
That's a good, admirable goal,
Yeah.
and I think you'll make that because well, as an example, one of our good friends that has been on the show recently, Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for the Soul, which this young lady, when she was 12 years old and was a single child and things were not going well at home, she would sit on her bed and read Chicken Soup for the Soul. Mark Victor Hansen did not know that story, but he does now. And he impacted millions of lives with Chicken Soup for the Soul, and it came from his heart, similar to what you're doing, Ed. And so you don't know where it's going to end up, and when somebody reads it, that's when it's going to impact them. And it's
a lot of people struggle, and I've talked to a lot of my readers, and it's so inspiring. But they're like, where do I start? You know, where do I go from here? You have this wealth, this wisdom. You've been a successful guy. It seems unattainable. It's you hear my early story, you're like, oh, if you can do it, I can do it too. There's a lot of those inspiring stories, but I don't just throw you to the wolves by any means. I mean, for example, another wealth letter, because Rochelle asked about it, is the X factor, right? So X, the letter out of the A through Z, letter X or chapter X is X factor. And that is one of the fundamental building blocks that are within this book. So what's the X factor? So I contend within the book is that everyone has at least 3 natural gifts, minimum 3, sometimes 5, sometimes more, but at least 3. And I try to give you the best methodology on how to uncover your top 3, right? And then you combine those skills together into one potent formula, and that is your X factor, right? That's your differentiator. That's your unique value offering to the world and the industry. So the X factor has been a letter that's been tremendously well received. And I disclose and I share, like I said, I tell a personal story in every single letter I know across the board, and I tell you exactly how I implemented all this different advice. I just don't throw advice at you. I actually tell you how I implemented it. Then I tell you how to implement it yourself. But my 3 X factors I discovered, and I was in like early 20s, is I have a innate ability to simplify complex problems. So I can that's with my technology background. I can take very complex issues, break it down into measurable, bite-sized paths, and be able to, so I can understand it quickly, but also to be able to share that information with others, and I can explain it in terms that others understand. So that's a simplification of complex topics. It would be one of my skills that it took me years, decades really to really uncover. But then ultimately I discovered another skill, which is to build systems around that. So instead of just having information that you were like, oh, here I can simplify this, but what do I do with it? Then I was able to systemize it and put all this different information into various systems that are repeatable processes. So you're not reinventing the wheel every single time. And the third part of it, the third, X factor that I identified is how to teach that. And that's where what's led me here is as a now and a unexpected author has now led me to be able to teach these lessons. So everyone has a minimum of 3 X factors, and I'm going to give you a roadmap within, the top 3 skills, and I give you a roadmap with the X factor letter, and then we jump to that's letter X. We jump to letter Z, and that's zone. So I teach you how to get in the zone, and that's where all the previous 25 letters come together, and I show you how to build systems like I've built around multiple different businesses. I have my entire real estate empire is 90%, more than probably 95% automated through 11 different technologies that I was able to implement to accomplish the goals of running this business. That's an example of the systems. This book is a system, right? It's a system in itself on how to bring it all together. So we're not leaving you hanging with some high level ancillary views on rah rah, go get them, kid, right? There's too much of that nonsense out there with personal development books. I'm giving you a truly, from step one to all the way to the final step of which is your highest self. And the last part of that is I don't even try to imply what your highest self is. Everyone has a unique definition of what their highest self is. I give you the roadmap on how to get there, right? But I don't tell you what it is. My definition is going to be my definition of my highest self is going to be different than Kevin's, different than Rochelle's, different than Ken's. We all have different definitions of what our optimal lifestyle design is, what our highest self is. But I give you the roadmap on how, literally, that's why this map is right here. There's a
and by the way, I wanted to ask you, who designed the cover? It's a great cover.
Yeah.
Well, Ken and I did, really, to be honest with you. We had a graphics artist person that we were working with, but ultimately we just laid out like it all came down to the path to the highest self, So some see this as, the yellow brick road to go off to see the wizard, and others see it as
follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road. Yeah,
we can't use that part. We can only use the stuff from the book. That's out of copyright.
No, but it was over 50 years ago. It was over 50 years ago, so I think you can use it now. And everybody's dead.
The movie's still got like 10 years left.
You checked out. You checked it out. I got it.
Yeah. But it's really fascinating to talk to different people, and I guess I'm testing it there. I was like, what do you see in this cover? And I go, what inspired you in this cover? And some will say, oh, it reminded me as a kid of the yellow brick road off to see the wizard. I'm like, okay. And others will see it as that the streets are paved with gold, right? And there's so many opportunities, and these are just golden nuggets that you provided us, hence the bricks that are all gold.
Yeah, they all have one of the words, in the book, one of the chapters. Each one's got one on there. And then some of them are from future books way up here, but you can see that they've got the.
And so, Ken, when does the second book come out again?
So the plan is October. So we released this one last October. The idea is to do one maybe once a year. Hopefully we can get enough traction with this one to where that's kind of a bigger launch. This is our first one, and really trying to get launched off the ground here. So October is the idea for the second one.
Well, I'm willing to bet that that traction deal is no longer a starter. I think that's already been accomplished.
Well, thanks in part to you two.
Well, thank follow the yellow brick road. Anyway, so Rochelle, I know you have a question for these fine young men.
I really do. Before we ended, Ed, I had to ask, after this experience happened and you started thinking that you were gonna write something for your kids to take on, was there something that shifted in who you actually were and maybe had gratitude for way more on a scale than you did before, to realize that you had the opportunity to continue on with life and create and be?
Yeah, it's a great segue, because again, one of the brick right there is gratitude. So G and the letter is gratitude, and I talk in great detail about that. Yes, so the one thing I felt after the near-death experience and coming home to my beloved family was gratitude. But what transformed to me, if I had to pick one, transformed within me, if I had to pick one word, is present. I was guilty, as many, of dwelling on the past, the challenge. I had a challenging life. It wasn't easy to get to the path I'm at right now, living my optimal lifestyle design through my highest self. It wasn't easy. It was not a path, and I disclose all this in the book. But I was guilty of focusing on the challenges of my past, and being concerned about where my future's going. So I was not present nearly as much until that near-death experience. And today, I couldn't be more present. I am just 100% focused on the now. I've dropped all the challenges of the negativity of the past, the scarcity. I'm 100% focused on the abundance of the future and the present that's here today. So that was, not only am I trying to change, implement, this into my kids, but also, society in general. But it's changed me. It's changed me, and I'm a better man. I'm a better husband. I'm a better father. I'm a better friend. I'm a better person because I am completely present when someone's with me. I am there. I am listening. I am 100% there. And if I had to pick one thing, that was one of the biggest personal takeaways from this experience.
That's amazing. I love
And
that.
and your kids are in their teenage years now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
How's it going?
Yes. Good. No, I'm very fortunate. My wife is amazing. We homeschool our kids. We have a lot of fun, and that also goes back to one of the key messages in the book is, being present, and being present is not focused on, on the future. So we travel a lot. The homeschool family. We're on the road about 10 weeks a year. We take 6 to 8 weeks off every summer and just travel the world. We just did Australia, New Zealand, and 3 Asian countries. We're heading to Egypt, Turkey, and Azerbaijan, and through the 5 countries this summer. And then in December, we're hitting South America and Patagonia and Argentina. So we travel 10 weeks a year as a family. We're fortunate enough to take the kids can take their studies with them as homeschool kids. And that's one of the examples of being present and focused on the now and enjoying each other, because you never know if a snowmobile-like experience happens and you don't make it home. You don't make it home that day. So I was blessed to be able to make it home, to be able to share this wealth, wisdom, and happiness experiences through a 3-book series. And yes, I do believe it was divine intervention that I'm here for this purpose, and I hope people appreciate it.
And by the way, I just want to say this, and I mean this in all sincerity. Purcell's 5'1". She'll fit into luggage. If you wanted to take her along on one of your 10-week adventures, she'll fit, and she might even
tribute.
and she might even cook dinner occasionally. But I don't know. We'll see. But in any event, Purcell, another question.
Yeah.
It's just so inspirational for me because I think about, I'm not even on the journey to having my own kids and thinking about all those things that are to come, but I have a vision for it because I've got people like you, and then you teach me that people like Ken are just that important. And then I've got Kevin to remind me of these things every day. And I want people to really be able to listen to the show and take that with them. Whatever happened in the past, you can't control. What are you doing now? Who are you in this present moment? And how are you living? And how is that impacting your future? Because you can make it whatever you want. I'm going to homeschool my kids. I want to travel. I want to teach them. I don't want them to learn about Egypt in a book. I want them to go to Egypt and see it for themselves and have that experience. So I love that you've set it up in a way of life. This is literally life. You have to build the wealth. You have to learn things, but you have to also implement them and enjoy doing it at the same time. So I am just beyond happy that you created this, and I am excited to share it with Mark too. So
yeah, and I'll actually I'll steal a term from my wife coined, and it is one of our family mantras, and that is from day one, because she's been homeschooling them since my son was in first grade, so all 12 years, and we're going to do all the way through high school is the intent. And the term was she wants the children to live their education. That's, so to live their education, that's why we travel. And we don't pick random places we're traveling. She knows in advance, a year in advance, what they're going to be studying the next year.
Oh, cool.
So, because she's the homeschool mom, so we go do that. We go walk the streets of Rome. We walk the streets of Paris. We just came back from Australia, New Zealand, and Asia, and now they're transitioning more into Egyptology. So let's go walk those streets. Let's go experience it directly. And we're very blessed, but that can only happen if I stayed focused on getting to my optimal lifestyle design And that optimal lifestyle design, my highest self, big component of that is to have the financial means to be able to afford this. It's expensive. It's a very expensive lifestyle, but I give you the formula on how to do it yourself. And if you, that's my definition. I'm living my highest self. But it's everyone else has a different definition of it. But if you're on board with traveling and with your children or just yourself or your partner, there's a path there. There's no whatever hopelessness is out there today, it can be eradicated with following this methodology for your unique definition of your highest self. And I'll say one last part on the highest self, because people ask me this all the time. We're like, hey, Ed, wow, that's great. You reached your highest self, right? How does it feel? And I quickly explain that the path to the highest self is just that. It's a path. It's a journey. Right? It's a journey that's never ending, because I keep raising the bar on what my definition of my highest self is. Right? So I had certain financial goals. I had certain meet the right girl, meet the right man. I did. I'm blessed to meet my soulmate within my wife, to have children, to travel the world. These are all part of the highest self. But now I'm adding more and more to my highest self. So it's an ongoing journey. The latest addition to the highest self is the stated mission that we have with this movement, which is to positively transform 1 million lives. And we've already got proof of dozens. But with your help and with your audience's help, we'll be able to get this mission, a little more momentum behind this mission, and accomplish that. So the path of the highest self is ongoing. It's all based on your ambition. It's all based on your personal life goals, and you can get there through this book series.
And Rochelle, we've run out of time. So would you like to take us out?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you, Kevin, for making this possible. Ed, thank you so much for joining us in, talking about this and creating this. That 1,000 people, or that 1 million people, is going to be way surpassed before we can even imagine it. And I'm thankful for that, because we have this. So thank you, Ken, as well, for being such a strong supporter, such a good friend, and such a good, strong human being to be in this journey with Ed. And I could imagine the things you've learned. So we want to have both of you back, because this is not enough of what we've been able to get out. So we'll have you back on the show. Everybody keep your eyes and ears out for that, and go get the book, whether it's for yourself or somebody else. Go buy it, put it in your home, put it at your work, put it somewhere, share it with someone, or read it. And you can go to thelifeleters.com, find out everything for yourself. Also, the book is available on Amazon, and I heard a little rumor about Ed actually doing the voice himself, so it's available on audiobooks as well, which is where I'll be going. And really, until then, just thank you so much. But Ed, do you have anything you'd like to leave us with? And Ken, of course, you as well.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'd like to, we try to bring as much value. As I mentioned, I practice what I preach about bringing value, and don't trade time for money, trade value for money. So we try to provide as much value to our followers as possible. And we talked about the book. It's in 4 different formats, as Rochelle mentioned. But we also have the wisdom transfer platform that we talked about at the beginning of the show. So I encourage everyone to go to thelifeleters.com and share your wisdom, share a quote, share anything that you feel it's going to inspire others. And it's a free service. We don't charge for that. We also just released about 6 weeks ago or so a newsletter, and that's free as well. So we're providing a free newsletter. It's a bi-weekly newsletter, comes out the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month. And it's basically enhancements to every letter. I do it alphabetically. I write it myself. And by the way, another thing too, there's no AI. This book is no AI touched this book. It's 100% written by me. And I continue to enhance on alphabetically A through Z every other week with a newsletter. So I encourage people to sign up for our newsletter, which is also on thelifeleters.com. We have an app coming out based on demand. We have book 2 coming out in October. We also have free downloads for the different methodologies and different processes. So we're trying to provide more and more value to our readership for free. This is not about making money for us. I don't need more money. I've been very successful.
I would just say,
Ken, go ahead.
Live for today, plan for tomorrow. That's my motto.
That's a great motto,
Plan for
and
tomorrow. I'm going to be screaming that all weekend.
Yeah.
indeed, and I want to thank Ed McCarthy and Ken for being here. This has been a great episode, and thank you both. And when he gets, it's appropriate that he's frozen. Oh, now he's back. Ed, and thank you, and
Sorry.
Thank
And
you so much for being here.
have a great
Thank
day,
you.
everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.